Hey guys, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot. I thought I would do something to kind of get us through what looks to be a little bit of a quiet, boring, and hopefully uneventful weekend. You know, we're all in the quarantine situation. Even if you're not completely on lockdown, I think there's probably a sense of responsibility causing you to kind of stay home and hunker in. And I think that when you look at this energy, when this much is happening and our emotions are kind of soaring somewhere, you know, between fear and lack of clarity, we're being a little bit tossed into the unknown, we're not sure who to trust. You know, these are all really normal emotions at this time. And then there's always, you know, Mars and Jupiter coming together can bring an optimism, which is great. And I think right now it's very important to find the positive in everything that's happening. You know, maybe the universe did need us to slow down, to change our perspective and our priorities, to get back on track of the things that really matter, and maybe bring a little bit of perspective to the things that we haven't been paying attention to in our lives. I think we're all experiencing this in several ways, having to face the fears. Were we prepared? You know, Saturn moves into Aquarius, and we have to get very innovative in how we do things. And we have to get very innovative with humanity itself, the way that we connect to others. Saturn can cause restrictions like a quarantine, but at the same time, we have to find the alternatives and we have to find the answers. That's Aquarius. And the sun moving into Aries, well, that's a promise that we're motivated by something. Whatever changes, whatever fears are getting ignited, the sun is going to move on to Chiron, and there's going to be, even if it is through pain or disappointment or having to face your worst fears, there's a profound healing that takes place. It may be as simple as being forced to do nothing but lay on your couch and watch Netflix for 3 days. Maybe that's something that your soul truly, truly needed. Maybe some of us are forced to stay home with our children, and then we begin to realize maybe the lack of attention we were able to give to them before this. Maybe that these were the adjustments that truly needed to be made, and there was no other way for us to open our eyes to them other than by the divine stepping in and doing it for us. Now, I don't want to at all underplay the compassion that we need to have right now. People truly are hurting, people truly are sick, and people truly are afraid. And I think if we all use the deepest level of compassion we can find at this time, if we all rely on our instincts as opposed to maybe what we're being told, you know, if people are telling you that you're overreacting, but there's something really pulling at you to prepare. And I'm not saying go out and buy 1,200 rolls of toilet paper, because it's really not going to get you any further than anyone else. But do the things to prepare. Make the arrangements. Make the childcare arrangements just in case. Set the money aside and don't spend so much just in case. If you feel the need to do that, then certainly do that at this time. It is very much about finding faith in ourselves, in our intuition, and in our higher purpose. So I've chosen 3 different piles here, and they're identified by a crystal for each one. There's a rose quartz here, which speaks to me about love, about divine wisdom, healing. There is a clear quartz here which talks to me about decisions, clarity, truth, and communication. And then I have a smoky quartz here which talks to me about the need for protection, more healing, and clarity, and maybe where we are on a soul journey. So whichever one speaks to you, go ahead and pick at this time. Take a moment. And remember, you're welcome to watch all three. If you want to take a moment to ask a certain question, you may get an answer that you've been searching for within the message. And I'm going to add timestamps for this in the description. So if you click on the description, there will be a time, so you don't have to watch all three if you don't want to. All right. Take a deep breath. Take a moment. And pick a crystal that truly speaks to you. Okay, pile number 1, rose quartz. Okay. Knight of Cups is the energy that you're in at this time. Now, the Knight of Cups is somebody who is ready to make an offer of love. Something is driving him through his emotions. A Knight of Cups is fast moving and it is impulsive. And it could be a little bit overprotective or possessive at times. And I see this clarified, the energy that you're working in at this time is one of completion. So you're ending a major cycle. This could be a job, this could be a relationship, this could be a way of life. But it's an emotional decision that you're making, an emotional ending, and it's something that I would say is quite rigid in your life. Something that you feel the need to protect or be loyal to, something that you feel you are somewhat enslaved to, like it has a control over you. And I feel like a fatherly figure. Now, I'm not seeing burdens either, so it could also, it speaks to me of, you know, being driven emotionally from your higher being. I think that you are being moved at this time by a greater plan or a greater perspective. There's a change of priorities. And the Hierophant comes out next to the Four of Swords. And now that energy is pretty clear for all of us, right? We're being asked to rest. But we're being asked to rest our minds, to kind of bring clarity and peace to the mental chatter, the negative thoughts, because you very much need to be more in touch with your intuition, what you're being guided to do, how you're being guided to act this time. And there's a need to find the balance between respecting the old structures in your life by creating boundaries that allow you to be you. But you also need to learn to be flexible and to be honest. When the High Priestess comes out in reverse, there is a sense of self-denial. A piece of you that you've been trying to ignore, maybe a fear, and it's a fear of loss. It's a fear of not being protected. And I think that's what's coming to an end this month. I think that you're going to be really clear. You're going to be drawn to the things that need your attention, and the rest just simply falls to the wayside, and you are moving from a higher purpose than ever before. And there is the overcoming of the fear. Trust the niggle. This talks more about the instincts that you have now, and that you can't waste time and energy on things that you don't feel called to do. This is all about restructuring your priorities. It's all about wanting to commit to the things that make you feel emotionally safe, emotionally fulfilled, making a commitment to those people, and surrendering some of the fear and the worry. There has to be a knowing that when all is said and done, everything will be okay. The things that truly matter to you, you'll still have. And the things that you lost, we're just making space for more things to come in anyways. And Panther tells me that there's an ignited need to protect something. You know, maybe you feel the need to protect yourself, to protect maybe the messages that you're getting, to believe in yourself, to believe in that instinct. You know, the Panther kind of goes after what they want. And if you're in a situation where you feel like you need to get your ducks in a row, prioritize relationships, sustain them, bring them to the next level, you know, I feel like there's a need and a want to get everything in place that matters to you right now. And the Akashic card that you pulled at this time is the Two of Roses, Winged Messengers. One second, sorry. A white dove carries a message in his beak and flies high above a table laid out for tea. One of the teacups has fallen over, and there are broken pieces of china on the table. Below the dove, a hawk flies into the scene with a message in his beak. This card indicates a small conflict in your home or family. You know, it could be that everybody's home and on each other's nerves. It could involve you and another or others in your extended family. There could be money issues about the home and an inheritance or personal finances. The dove brings a message from your spirit, a call to see this little drama through your higher mind and compassionate heart. You may feel compelled to be the peacemaker or the provider in this situation. Let yourself do as your spirit guides you. The hawk, a predator, shows that there are times when you might have a tendency to be pulled into the fray yourself. With the hawk entering from the right, it certainly indicates that more challenges may be coming your way. happily, your spirit is high above those challenges so you can see them clearly and deal with them effectively. Another thing I just want to mention about these cards, and something that I'm being drawn to, is the need for gratitude at this time. I think maybe part of what's happening here is that there may be lessons in the giving and receiving, in the ability to share what you have with others. The fight between needing to protect what you have and having the ability to be compassionate towards others. And that by being compassionate, by sharing what you have, it might heal some of the wounds that you carry deep inside about the fear of abandonment. But if you are somebody that tends to buy people with your money, to try to manipulate people by the things that you have, there may be lessons there as well. And relying maybe on the material wealth instead of appreciating the time that you now have with your family. Maybe now is a time that you're being urged to focus on the emotional structures in your life and to bring healing into your family and your love relationships, which ultimately brings the healing of the mind and the ability to bring you the hope that you need to get through times in which it might be tight, in which money might be tight. And if there's a lack of abundance, the fear mindset, the lack mindset, the trying to hold on to things and hoard things will only lead to those abandonment fears and bringing them to life. So you want to be really careful with your thoughts at this time and what you're manifesting. Okay, let's move on to pile number 2. It's Aries season, guys, which is always where things tend to get a little intense, because Aries gives you that need for movement and to make the changes. And right now we're literally forced to not make any changes at all. So I think that's where we're getting forced into that healing. And it's so profound that Chiron steps in at this time. There is something to be said about Chiron, and especially in a force like Mars, especially at a time when Mars is with Jupiter, so the Mars energy is expanded. There's an opening of our minds. There's a search for truth. There's the need to strategize and prepare. And the thing about Chiron is he's a wounded warrior. So he comes from a place of compassion, and that hopefully that's exactly what we need to balance out the decisions that we have to make at this time, and to know that the best decisions we can make are the decisions that come from levels of compassion, that come from levels of understanding and sharing, and the need to be flexible and mutable with your energy. Okay, so you are in, oh, these were upside down. You're in the Prince of Discs energy. And your situation is the universe in reverse. So I see a block of energy there, or just very slow movement. These got turned around. Very good. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So this is all about healing for you. And I think what's going on behind the scenes, whether you realize it or not, is that you are continually bumping up into situations which are causing healing for you. This is a really cool energy because I see fixed energy in you. And it's being worked over. You're being prompted to let go of control. And you're doing it a little at a time. There's progress, but you also feel safe. And that's okay at this time. I think the more you feel safe and the less anybody pushes. Now, if this feels like an energy that you're dealing with and you're trying to force somebody or something to happen, it's not going to work that way. And anytime you try to force a situation, it's just going to prolong the karmic cycle. So whatever needs to happen is happening right now. And I think sometimes the universe in reverse means it's out of your hands. You no longer have control. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're moving into bad luck, but you're moving through an energy in which you could start moving up. It's just something that you have to go through. And it is all about the healing, and it is all about the recognition right now. It's all about recognizing your connection and how important it is with others. Clarified, unbound. I love this card. It's like the shadow side, the fears are kind of floating away from them, you know, and it also talks about healing the sacral, the root chakra. So little by little you grow strength, and the last thing that you let go of is your ability to knock off the mental chatter that holds you back. This is such a cool energy because I think that you're tapping into a connection that you actually appreciate. There's a connection, maybe it's family, it doesn't necessarily have to be a love connection, but I think it's fun and it's free. And you could let loose and be yourself in this atmosphere. Now, maybe you're being forced to stay home from work and you're enjoying yourself around the house. It could be allowing yourself to somewhat indulge, you know, a little Netflix, a little candy bar, a little ice cream. Spoiling yourself in those little ways can bring healing to you. And in your challenge card is a Page of Swords clarified by the King of Swords. So there's real growth here in controlling your thoughts. You also got the One of Scrolls. So I feel like you're really enjoying yourself in this emotional space. And it's opening you up. This relationship's opening you up. But there's a need to strategize. There's a need to make a plan. And that this energy, this Page of Swords, I see this person is kind of ignoring the inevitable. You know, like look at the way that, oh, for real. Okay, so look at the way that he's kind of like ignoring the truth, the ignoring the stepping up and the making the decisions. And he's just looking at how much he enjoys this energy. Like what a great view, you know? And, oh, I'm picking up a couple different things with this. You know, this guy comes out afterwards. And I think he says, well, if you want that, then you have to go after it. You have to make a plan. You have to have the conversations. You have to grow up and communicate a little bit. At some point, there has to be a stepping out of this phase. You know, this is kind of like the dating phase, the flirting phase, having a really good time together, and then here comes the talk, you know? And I think somebody, you or another person, is moving towards this very, very slowly. And the other person wants to break through this cycle and move forward. But I think ultimately the communication is what will bring the healing. It's what will decipher whether this person is the one. And maybe that's it. Maybe you or another person is questioning whether somebody is in this because it's a good time, keeping it casual, or if they really truly think this is the person. This is a connection that is much more meaningful, a once in a lifetime, you know, and maybe you have to make the call here or let someone know how you're feeling. And that's exactly what the starfish energy is. The starfish energy is someone who is a little bit shallow, that kind of gets through life because things look good. And I feel like this is a time, a starfish, a time in a relationship in which you have to decide, is this person in your life because they're fun, because they're pretty, or do you see a real connection? And it can't be shallow. You know, is this a connection that's going to get me to the next level? Is this a connection that's going to bring me growth? Discernment in what kind of relationship you're in right now, deciphering the phase, whether you're going to take it to the next level. One of scrolls means you're on track. That's kind of cool, right? All right, so these I like to read. Again, just because they explain different scenarios which might, you know, resonate with you. Some kind of a confirmation sometimes. One of scrolls. Travel. Ironically, something none of us are doing right now. Okay. A man at a train station looks over his shoulder at the signs that point to other tracks, but he has already looked at his maps and made his decision. He lifts his foot to step onto the train. Though travel or a move can be indicated by this card, the meaning is often about your choices and directions. You may have been ambivalent about taking a certain track in your life with regard to a project, a relationship, a career directive, or even a location. But now is the time to decide. Even if you're not quite as assured as you'd like to be, the engine is smoking. There is a direction that compels you, so get on board. You will not falter. And that's what's happening. There's that growth, the need to move towards something that's much deeper. The knowing that this is no longer acceptable, that this needs to move to this. And it needs to be in the form of a commitment, a solid offering, the next move, or it has to end. big decisions, Aries season, it makes sense. All right, guys, let's move on to card pile number 3, the Smoky Quartz. This is my absolute favorite stone. Like, this is a stone that I always carry on me at all times. And the thing about this stone is sometimes, crystal, I'm sorry, I should call it crystal. Sometimes it changes and the color deepens or it lightens in such a beautiful way, and I think it captures the mood around me. And sometimes I get the feeling that it gets darker because it's more activated. It needs to work harder to protect me, that it is working to protect me. And so often if I look down and I see that it's a deep color, that I know that my guides are around me and protecting me. It's always really important to remember that if you're drawn to anything that brings you comfort or protection in times when we feel vulnerable, don't deny yourself. If you see something and you feel like that seems silly or you don't want anyone to know, you know, now is not really the time for that. Now is the time to reach out for our comfort and for safety and for connection, and to allow for that and open to it. Now, I have no idea if that relates to these cards, but I have a feeling it might. Let's take a look. So you're coming out as the Princess of Cups, right? So there's a readiness to receive here. And the Art card in reverse, this is a card of Temperance. It tells me that you are out of patience and ready to move. And the ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you and not to you. Okay, time's up. Decisions are being made. The Divine Physician in reverse will read that. Okay. All right. So, pile number 3. It does speak to me about how you protect yourself. But the funny thing is, you protect yourself through your mind. Now, I see a lot of swords and I see some pentacles, but you're coming out as a cup. So there is a lot of emotion involved in this situation. And I feel like for some time you have been balancing or juggling 2 different worlds, 2 different visions for yourself. This could just simply mean not knowing if something was good for you or not. And when you step into that energy in a Princess of Cups, although she's emotional and she's passionate and she's really in love with love, there seems to be an innocence about this. Maybe a pattern of being naive. And it's almost like you would rather juggle the possibilities. Either this is something really beautiful and it's going somewhere, or I'm totally getting used and I don't know how he feels about me, because I see that there's a lack of communication. Now, it's not a blocked communication. It speaks to me of the fear of finding out or asking for the truth. That you would rather juggle not knowing instead of knowing for sure. You know, I think in some ways you're kind of watching and measuring how things are going. And Pentacle energy is very slow, so you're allowing it a lot of time. But I think you sense that time's running out. Temperance card of Sag in reverse. Whatever's going to grow from this situation is there. It's there. And it's also being activated divinely. It's like go time, or it's like the make or break time in the relationship. And I think what Spirit wants you to know is it's not time to throw in the towel. If you are struggling with mental conflict, inner conflict with yourself, if you are trying to organize and make sense of something, it's not the time to give up the fight. The ever unfolding rose, cracked open, it's happening for you, not to you. Okay, so let's release the resistance, okay? And I think the resistance is your thoughts at this time. This needs to happen. You need to stop the conflict, the inner conflict. There needs to be an end to the fight within yourself of all the reasons that you're not good enough. There's a feeling with the Princess of Cups is that she needs to know that this situation could move you into a Queen of Cups situation. That you don't have to compete with others, that someone loves you unconditionally, that you love someone unconditionally. And you need to be able to feel safe in this commitment or in this connection. And if you're constantly living in fear and anxiety of the bad things, if this person, if you feel as though you can't trust them, then it's affecting your ability to love. And that's what has to end. Now, you have to decide, because it's a 9, so it's coming to an end. Soon it'll be the 10. When you get to the 10, that's full self-sabotage. So here's what I want to tell you. If there's something you're refusing to look at, a fact or reality, and you're focusing on some kind of a dreamy situation, fantasy coming true, it may not work out. And it might be very stressful and a very karmic situation in which you just have to go through this. This is the facing of the fears. This is the loss. But there's a lesson to be learned here, that because you focused on the loss, because you focused on the things that could be wrong, the low vibrational things, if you became obsessive with a person and continually thought that they were cheating on you or talking to other people or lying to you or deceiving you in any way, I don't think that they were. And I think that you let your imagination get the best of you. There could be a person in your life that feels as though they're not making the decisions. They're juggling between 2 different people or 2 different lifestyles. And that you need to face the facts and let go and let happen and deal with the loss so that you can move on, because something much bigger is coming. And this is all about the opening and the growing you. The Divine Physician in reverse coming out next to the Swan. The Swan card is all about reflection. It is what is on the inside, what you truly believe in yourself becoming your physical reality. So if you are in a situation in which you feel like you don't have enough or you are not enough, well, it turns out you aren't. But you shouldn't be with somebody who makes you feel that way anyways. And I think it's quite simply knowing that it might be time to walk away, lick your wounds for a minute, and then remember who the hell you are and move on with your life, because you know things are moving rapidly now. And the only person holding you back is you. So trust your instincts, but don't focus negatively in your mind. Don't allow anyone to juggle you, and do not deny the truth. Do not be afraid of the truth. In some situations, this person is your person, and you're just refusing to admit it to yourself. In some situations, you need to make a talk to decide that you're on the same team and let the anxiety grow. In some way, shape, or form, one or both of you is denying your truth. And that's exactly what needs to change, and something will become exposed and vulnerable in order for you to decide where you are on your path and where you want to take this. The Divine Physician in reverse, it's a number 6 card, and 6 always talks to me about divinity. It always talks to me about your guides that are around you and supporting you at this time. Oh, good Lord. The Divine Physician in reverse. I'm going to turn it upright so you can look at it as I read it to you, but it did come out in reverse. You may have lost sight of all that's required for your own self-care. Or if you were on a path of discovering your healing gifts, you may have gotten sidetracked for a while. In any event, it's time to get back to your care, get back to your own self-honoring, and reconnect with your gifts. You may have also forgotten the power of your thoughts, ideas, and emotions, which are part of the elixir that brings healing to you and helps you bring healing to others. Make sure you attend to these ingredients as you put yourself back on your path. The Divine Physician, your words of power, and the actions you take to support them will make you rise again. Interestingly enough, and I just want to point this out there, they showed it to me, but the card that comes after the Divine Physician, the next page, is the Fated Meeting. So I'm just saying that some of you need to let go of a relationship that is not serving you, that's making you feel like you have to compete for someone's love or attention, like you're just an option. If that's the case, you have to end it, because once you get through it, and I don't see a lot of major arcana here, there's nothing. So although it might feel anxiety ridden, I don't think it hits you really deeply. I think it's just kind of part of the journey. You get over it quickly and then you move on. You start to grow from it. You recognize your self-worth. You start to put you first, right? Because I think this person treated you like an option. And when you begin to put yourself first, then you immediately attract somebody that also puts you first, that makes you feel special. That's very much what I'm seeing here. The time is up on stuff that doesn't serve you, on relationships that don't honor you. Okay? That's how you protect yourself. You put yourself first. With compassion for others, though, please. All right, well, I hope that everyone stays safe, enjoys the quiet, use as a time to rest and relax and be grateful for their health and be grateful for the food in their refrigerators. And if you do have an abundance and you can share, please do, but share responsibly. And please do consider the safety of others. If you're not feeling well, or if at all possible, just stay home. Just do what you can to allow the resting period, to allow the time for rejuvenation, and protect everyone around you to the best of your ability. I think the best thing that we can do at this time is release what we can't control and love ourselves and have faith. Remember that there's alternative ways to connect to others, and that the ability to connect, the quicker you realize how important connection is with each other, how important communication is, how important it is to cooperate with mankind, that's when we start to heal. And until then, we will continue learning the lessons. I send so much love out to the collective, and I hope everyone stays safe and sound. Bye.